The restrictive monetary policy of the South African Reserve Bank is blamed for the consistent decline in the average disposable income for each South African in real terms. While lower interest rates have brought some sort of relief, households continue to face persistent financial pressures. The index showed an increase of 2.5% on a year-on-year basis in the first quarter of 2025 compared to the GDP growth rate, which remains below 1%. Altron says this is not too bad for households and it is all thanks to lower interest rates. However, economics advisor to Altron FinTech, Dr. Rolof Botha, says the MPC is to blame for how the South African economy has turned out.
So I did some digging and I decided, you know what, and instead of chilling or fucking around with Netflix or YouTube, I decided to check what is our national minimum wage as a country. There's no way that we are struggling so much as South Africans, you know what I'm talking about. There's no way that you'll be working 6 to 6 every single day, but you're failing to provide for your family, to provide and to afford basic requirements and all. So I did a little bit digging and it turns out the national minimum wage is also known as the NMW. The NMW in this country is 28.79. So it's 28 rand. So let's just say it's 29, right? Let's just say it's 29. If you were to do a little bit of calculation and to try to sort of estimate how much you're supposed to be actually making per month, because it's not like I'm coming here talking about shit that I don't even know. You know what I'm talking about? I had a job before, I've seen shit. And I know for a fact that if this is the national, the legally mandated national minimum wage of 28 rand 79 cents per hour, then I know a lot of people is working full-time, earning an illegal wage. But you know how it is, right? The lower the wages, the more money the businesses in these big corporations can make. You know what I'm talking about? But either way, if you're literally making 28.779, then that has to equate to about 5,000, 5.2 or 5.3 per month. Like I said before, this isn't always the case. This isn't always the case. Why? Because people is desperate. As long as it chop. You know what I'm talking about? And I get it. It chop, bro. It's better than sitting around waiting for the SRT fund. You know what I'm talking about? Something that can't even, you know what I'm saying? Let's say every employed individual in South Africa was making 5k per month. Let's just round off to 5k. Let's say every full-time employed individual is making a legally mandated minimum wage, national minimum wage of 5,000 rand. Let's say 5.2 rand per month. Is that even enough? We both know it isn't enough. Why? Because if we were to do the calculations, bro, of the basic necessary expenses you'd have to spend in order to survive in this country, you come up with about 4.5k to 6,500, and that's just food, right? 4,500 rand to 6.5 just on food, electricity, groceries and food is the same thing, electricity, transport and shit like that, and we excluding school fees and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? We're excluding stuff like this. Why? Because we're talking about basic the basic amount you need to spend on these basic necessities in order for you to live large. Not live large in a sense, but to survive in South Africa. And this may seem as a premature analysis, but like I said, I've seen people struggle and I've done it too. I thought about this and I'm like, 28 rand per hour isn't enough to survive in South Africa. Obviously, everybody knows, and anyone who's going to deny it has never worked a day in their life. You know what I'm talking about? Anyone who, actually, I feel like I was supposed to make a, you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about a family. So 28 rand, if there's a single breadwinner at home, 28 rand, 28 to 29 rand per hour, that minimum wage, is it enough for a family of 4? I feel like I should have started with that. Is enough for a family of 4? Because for a family of 4, you're going to need 5.5 too. Okay. You'll get what I'm talking about, right? So I thought about this and I'm like, okay, this basically isn't enough. And I thought to myself, oh, okay, I actually did a video on how politics is actually fucking South Africa in real time. And then I decided to do a little more digging as to when and how this minimum wage is going to be increased. You know what I'm talking about? Because there's no way, bro. I thought it was supposed to be like 40. You know what I'm talking about? I thought the national minimum wage is supposed to be like 40 rand an hour, you know, so at least we'll be getting somewhere, you know what I'm talking about. And it turns out, last year, the minimum wage was at around about 27.58, but it was increased on the 1st of March. That's still not enough. But we hear of politicians and these big government individuals who are working for these government businesses and enterprises getting salary bumps of millions and millions, bro. How are 55k individuals in the government earning over a million? You hear shit like that, but yet people are gonna come on here and talk about how you're blaming the wrong people, how the government, how you're gonna turn into Venezuela. Fuck that nigga. In light of all this, yeah, we've got to raise as South Africans, those who are even earning legally, because let's be honest, guys, most of these bosses don't even give a fuck. They don't care about, I'm talking about that there's a raise and stuff like that. They're gonna pay you the amount they want to pay you, and they know you can't fight because you don't have anywhere to go and you need that money. You're desperate, you're poor. The ANC is messing with you. You know what I'm talking about. But anyways, so I thought about everything that has been happening in my life and the conversations I've heard, amongst us adults talking about how stuff is costing more. I know petrol is going up, electricity is going up, water is going up, but it doesn't seem like their salary is going up. And you wouldn't be wrong to think that way, because apparently, or actually, what actually happens, or what usually happens, is that they'll increase the national minimum wage by cents. You know what I'm talking about. But if you check what happened, especially this year, I think it was the 1st of May. The 1st of May, right? Yeah, the 1st of May 2025. The value added tax increased from 15 to 15.5% and is expected to increase to 16% next year. But why though? Why is stuff like this happening though? I don't understand, bro. Like, I used to think that the people in power, right? No, besides the fact that the country is in debt and can't afford anything, apparently. Maybe that's the side we want to hear. And that the country hasn't money and it doesn't have anything and the infrastructure is crumbling and service delivery is poor in this country. And I'm talking about, besides all of this, let's focus on the financial part of this, what I'm talking about. But again, I didn't do too much digging, so hold your horses, educated ass. I asked myself, why do they increase why do they increase the national minimum wage by cents and the VAT literally bumps up by 10? You know what I'm talking about? Why is nothing okay? If the government is actually doing anything, why isn't anything getting better in this country? But why are these top people in these top positions getting bumped up salaries, like big money, I'm talking about from 8 million a year to making 10, 50 million a year, still getting involved in corruption? And it got me thinking that maybe this is a deeper rabbit hole that we are yet to consider as a people, a rabbit hole that people is gonna hear me talk about and think, he thinks this is a movie. You know what I'm talking about? But I literally believe that it's deeper than what it seems. You know what I'm talking about? Not everything is as it seems. Let me repeat that. Not everything is as it seems. Check it, bro. If the government can keep us poor, this is just me. This is no conspiracy. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist or anything. This is literally how I think and what I believe is happening. If the government can keep us dependent and always surviving, grinding and getting gray hair at 20, if they can do that for a long enough period, and for all the years they've been doing this for the 31 years they've been doing this for, talking about, if they are able to keep you grinding and struggling and dependent on the government, they're able to come on to a platform and to straight up lie to your faces and to tell you that they're going to create more job opportunities, they're going to fix your roads, they're going to fix the electricity, they're going to tell you shit about how ESCOM is okay all of a sudden, they're going to tell you how they're going to eradicate corruption and stuff like that. Why? You're dependent on them. Your dependency on the government is keeping them in power. I legit believe that, and this may not only apply to South Africa, it may apply to more people out there, I'm talking about, and other countries and stuff. But I legit believe that if the government can keep us poor, if the government can limit the amount of individuals that have access to the league, I call it the league, and for those who are watching my videos understand what I'm talking about. The league, what am I referring to? I'm referring to the game that politicians are playing, the game that the president is playing, that all these political parties are playing, that all these big individuals are playing, a game that you and I are not part of. It's the reason why it seems as if they be getting richer and you be getting poor day in, day out. But if they can limit the amount of people that can have access to this game, then they can they don't have to split it with a lot of people, I'm talking about, therefore keeping themselves richer and wealthier, I'm talking about. Because let's be honest, if a lot of people in the country started getting good money, like good salaries, they have power to to do a lot of things. You know, with a little money, you can use money, and if you use it wisely, I honestly believe that you can use it to get yourself into positions and to get yourself into strong good positions. You know what I'm talking about? I honestly, maybe I'm just hallucinating and talking about, but I honestly believe that that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get richer. Don't get me started on loan sharks, Amashonisa, or Mashonisa and the red race. Poverty is a cycle that is very difficult to escape. Poverty is a cycle that, imagine borrowing money here and failing to pay that money and going to borrowing somewhere so you can pay that money, and I gotta borrow more money to pay that guy off, and before you know it, you're owing 5 individuals at once. You know how painful it is, bro. You know how painful it is to lie, to get a knock on your door, constant knocks on your door, and to lie and to say that your parent isn't there, knowing very well what is she hiding in the fucking cupboard or wardrobe. I honestly believe that if enough people had money, then we'd have more rebellions. Like, bro, if people had money and if people weren't as dependent on the system, on jobs or the government and there's the ANC and stuff like that, then people would have the guts to question everything they feel like they want to question. You know what I'm talking about? People would have the guts to question this. People would have the guts to say whatever they want to say because they're not dependent on anything, on anyone. You know what I'm saying? And it's obviously, I mean, we can't all be rich. We can't all be Cyril Ramaphosa, you know what I'm talking about? We can't all be this type of people. Why? Because then who's gonna sing for my child at McDonald's? You know what I'm talking about? Like, who's gonna, you know what I'm saying, who's gonna wash my car? You know what I'm saying? Not disrespect to these people, but I'm just saying, like, think about how stuff be happening now. Think about the rules, the company rules on how to use social media and what you can say, what you cannot say, how you can dress, how you cannot dress. You know what I'm talking about? You're sort of controlled at your place of work, your workplace. And think about how if you started speaking shit about the government or about how your company isn't fair, think about how many people would have to lose their jobs. But at the end of the day, it's always been poor versus poor. You know what I'm talking about? It's always been poor versus poor. I look at South Africa and I look at the apartness. You know what I'm talking about? We are failing to come together for whatever reason. You know what I'm talking about? We are failing to come together for whatever reason. Why? Because the elite they have successfully found a way to get the poor to get the poor in constant battle against other poor people. You know what I'm talking about? Bro, when I look at how shit be happening and how South Africa usually responds to stuff, South Africa is literally like a child who's going through a post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD basically. How we are able to turn something serious into a joke, bro, it's almost like it's a way of like dealing with stress. It's